Hi everyone, welcome back to ITOM batch 3, day 16. How are you doing guys today?
Good, Raj.
Good, good to hear. Only Siva is doing good, not all others.
No, we are
Doing
all
good.
doing good.
No, and I did not receive the response from you guys, right? So I thought you are doing well and only Siva and Pratikant joined on the first place, right? But so I thought there are some issues from your side as well, so due to that. But yeah, no issues. Astan, I can understand sometimes we have network issues, but yeah, that my concern is only, we are on time, try to join on the time, so others are not going to be wait for long. Okay, so yesterday we discussed about the quick discovery schedules, credentials, and the firewall port validations, right? Any questions in that one from anyone? No? Okay. Then
Sorry, can we do a summary of the credential? It was a little bit confusing to me yesterday.
Michael, your voice is breaking up for me. Not able to
Hello,
hear you clearly. Can you repeat once again?
can you hear me better now? Hello?
Still, yes, yes.
Yeah, I was saying, can you just do a little bit of summary of the concept of the credential? It was a little bit confusing to me yesterday.
No, that your voice is still breaking for me. Guys, is the same for you as well? Are you able to hear Mike clearly?
Yes, yes, same is.
Yes,
Yes,
same brother.
So the issue with that Michael side, right?
yes, yes.
Yes.
Right. Okay, can you put your question on the chat, please? So I think I can help you out there. Yeah. Okay, sure, Michael. Yeah, got your point. So basically, Michael wants, can we do bit summary of the credentials? So as already yesterday mentions, let me share my screen quickly. Let me know once my screen is visible to you guys.
Yeah, it is visible.
Okay, yes, let me go to the credential table. The instance is running slow a little bit today. Yeah. Under discovery, we have credentials. And as I mentioned, Michael, yesterday, we have lots of, couple of type credentials available in service now, right? So Windows specific credentials, we are going to be used for Windows discovery, where we are creating credentials for Windows domain and domain and non-domain machines. So domain and local account machines, it's only username and password will be there. The same way VMware credentials, username and password will be there. And we have the capabilities in VMware and Windows credentials to test the credentials as well. The same for SSH. SSH, we will get username and password from the customer side, but SSH private key, we are receiving username, password, passphrase, certificate, and one more thing as well, right? So it depends what customer is providing to us. It's private key credentials or the normal SSH credentials, and we are going to be create here on those particular things, right? Then SNMP community string only we will receive a password. No username will be there, that we called community string or V2 SNMP V2 credentials, and then SNMP V3 credentials where we are getting username, authentication protocol, authentication key, privacy protocol or privacy key, right? Apart from that, JDBC, GMS, these are going to be used for integrations. Basically, if you are doing some REST type of, or data source integrations, or if we are going to do basically if we are working on the service now, service graph connectors, basically OAuth is going to use there as well, right? Google Cloud Credentials is just only credentials which is help for discovering the Google Clouds. Docker related credentials is there if we want to discover the Dockers. SIM credentials is going to use for storage, where we want to discover the storage, but here in the storage credentials we required admin credentials for the storage device. So we have alternate option here. Alternate option is we can install SMIS application on one of the Windows server, and we can connect all other storage. We can connect all other storage devices with that particular machine, the or SMIS servers, and we can able to discover it through that, right? Then we have basic OAuth or certificate management credential. Certificate management is used for certificate things. Basic OAuth for normal, again the integration or REST API if you are doing, right? Azure and AWS credentials, which is going to use for cloud, Azure and AWS cloud discovery, and applicative credentials if we want to discover the specific applications which is running on any host, Windows or Linux device. Then applicative credentials comes if we don't have the complete access through that Linux or Windows credentials which is provided by the customer. So we will use applicative credentials to discover that particular applications if it is running on any XYZ devices, right? So these are the credentials we have available. And if I already showcased you yesterday, I have created two credentials here. One is SSH, one is Windows. Right, and one is also there, that is this. So here, if you see that if I test the credentials, let me see, let me try to test the credentials again. This is my Windows credential IP 74, I think so. It's running, it's take a couple of time, few minutes to be complete that one. It's, I think the IP is incorrect, might be, that's the reason only. The Windows is this. Yeah, that's validated. So we can validate the credentials if the credentials are provided correctly for that IP. The same way we have this one. The IP is again incorrect here. So let me copy this. You can see now the test credentials we are running for SSH, and it's also validated. Yeah. Right, so we can also test the credentials from here. And already, as I mentioned, order, whatever order you are putting, that if the order is in low side, that will be triggered on the first place. If order is high, that is going to be the last place, right? We can have capabilities to apply the mid servers. If we want to use the credentials to all mid servers, we can use all apply for all mid servers, and specific mid servers we can apply that one as well, right? So here we can select that particular mid servers if we want to add that credential is going to use for discovery for specific credentials only, right? So I think that's I covered. If I rephrase that one, right? So any questions in that one, Michael? Yes, Abhi.
Yeah, Ajay, regarding this cloud discovery, I think there is some difference, right, in configuration for cloud discovery.
Yes. So the difference is only about that, the credential side only. Like, let me give an example here. So if you have credentials available for the cloud discovery, you have or you have the capability to discover the subscriptions from the credential itself, right? And that will be populated in service account table, right? So you will trigger the discovery, and then that service account or subscriptions will be populated in the service account table. It's just like again it test credentials basically. If your credentials are correct, then you are able to discover the Azure subscriptions in the first place. Otherwise, no. It's
Okay, so
also
if
applicable.
okay,
Yeah, go ahead.
okay, so suppose if we are having 10 new subscription IDs which are onboarded, so how we can take it up in discovery? Like,
First of all, what happens basically, you have the 10, but it depends. All the 10 subscriptions is having the same access or through that particular credentials. As you remember, we required couple of, read only access on a couple of APIs while we required for Azure Discovery, right? So we are setting that exam informations to the customer. Customer will sharing the informations after providing the access, but it depends how customers share that informations to us, right? So means is the same credentials is applicable for all 10 subscriptions, or it's only for one or two subscriptions that credentials, right? Because he needs to be give that access to all that credentials to all subscriptions, right? So once he's given, we are able to discover the subscriptions. All 10 subscriptions will be available here. Once it is available, that is also available in this particular table as well, service account, right? So we will able to see that record available here as well, and once it is available, we can go here and we can discover the discover data centers and then create discovery schedules from here directly through the cloud.
okay, so discovery schedule will be subscription ID based or like
that
any
that
other?
that is subscription ID based basically.
Okay,
Right, so if you see that is one AWS data center, this one, if I discover data centers, you can see that one data center is discovered here, which is demo AWS CCS, and then I can create discovery schedule. So discovery schedule will be created for this particular name, demo AWS SVC ACCT, and here you can select the data centers as well. You want to discovery for all data centers, and if you have the informations that particular service subscriptions data or device located in XYZ data centers, you can select those particular things only while you are doing on or while you're working on the discovery side or configuring the discovery schedule for cloud discovery. But here what will be happen, there are two discovery schedules will be created. Okay, install the latest ITOM pattern. Stop. Okay, so there are two things will be going to be created discovery schedules. One is for cloud resources, and the second discovery schedule will be created for discover the virtual machines host basically, right? So two discovery schedules will be created here basically.
okay.
So let me update the plugin as well. I think what is the plugin name he's mentioning? Go to store app and install latest ITOM pattern. I think let's install just right away. So no, in future we are not able to see any issues. ITOM. API, there's no. That name is discovery and service mapping patterns. Yes. So meanwhile, it's going in the background. Any questions here from Abhi? Apart from Abhi, yes, Eklavya. Yes, Rhythm, you also raise your hand. Yep.
Hi Ajay. Ajay, when you talk about storage and the credentials are admin credentials, you know that it is very tough to get it.
Right.
Um, what would be the best approach in order to discover the storage? And storage are like, being a very much critical component in the network, especially in the client network.
Right. So, Eklavya, in that case, what we can do, we can, as I mentioned, as alternate option, we can suggest to do the discovery using the SMIS server, right? So, or basically we call the SIM server or SMIS server. What we do in that case, a customer basically going to be configure that particular thing. He will get a virtual machine or of Windows OS, and on that Windows OS he is going to be install the SMS capabilities and attaching the all other storage which is available in their network, right? So what will happen in that case, the Windows server which he is install SMIS, that will be worked as a management server. Basically it will act as a management server, and if we are running discovery on that management IP, we are able to discover the Windows first thing. Second thing, we are able to discover the all attached storage to that particular device. But that is applicable for couple of storage types only, not for the net app or others, right? So basically you can go with the documentation, but this is the best approach. Without getting the administration or admin credentials for the storage, you are able to discover through the SMIS. But here in that case, small catch is you need two credentials. One is for Windows device discovery and second is SIM credentials, basically with the read-only access.
Okay, so you are saying like, first of all, we need to have a separate window. On that window, we should be having like, SIMs, and that
Mhm.
SIMs will be like, having like, storage attached. But all the storage will not be part of it. It would be a very limited. But
Right.
scenario would be like, the same. I'm back to the square one because like, critical storage servers, storages are like still not discoverable. So in that scenarios, I will be like, having a tough time again with client network. So what would be the best approach then?
No, so what type of storage it is? If you want to be, when
NetApp.
you NetApp.
NetApp.
So NetApp is directly able to discover it, right? It's not a big deal. There are two ways to discover NetApp. If customer is not providing the credentials of, basically not providing the admin credentials, you can discover the NetApp using the SNMP protocol as well. But again, the point is only that, using the SNMP discovery, you will get the limited data. But if customer is required the complete data, then he needs to be agree to provide the correct access, the correct credentials. And what I will follow most of the time, if customer is not going to be agree, I simply say no, sir, this is not possible. Without giving the correct access and correct credentials to us, we cannot discover it. This is ServiceNow documentation. You can check with the ServiceNow as well. Simple. Because if you are going to be do some customization or something, right, end of the day access is required. And if you do customization and if you are able to discover this time using the implementation things, that will going to be bother in the next step, definitely, right, when they are going to be upgrade or they are going to be, because that particular time you are not there, you are just for implementation and you come back on, you're going to be allocated to any other project, right? So they are going to be face lots of challenge and they will definitely try to understand who configured this, why that's required to be configured, right? So sometimes what we have to do, we have to be say no, this is not possible, and this is the ServiceNow documentation which you have to be refer, and based on that we required access to do it. Otherwise that's not our problem or your problem to be discovered. Simple.
Okay. Thank you, Jay. Ajay, you have mentioned about like the document. Any particular document or link, if you can just put it in the chat, that would be great.
Let me check NetApp discovery in. There are lots of documents available. I always what I always do here is see NetApp server and cluster discovery, NetApp storage configurations. still you can see 7 steps native storage discovery using SNMP. Right. So I always prefer two things: ServiceNow documentation and ServiceNow community. Right. If I need to find out something immediately, right, you can see this is a document as well, right? So you can refer this one. I think this is not the good one, but yeah, 7 steps to native storage discovery using SNMP. What you have to do, right? It's complete step by step. Everything is mentioned here, right? So let me put you on this on the chat here.
Yeah, please. That would be great.
Oh, definitely, yeah. And just my thing is only if you're going to be stuck somewhere, if you're not able to find out on documentation, just go to the ServiceNow community. Definitely something is available already, right?
Yeah, I
If
mean, my approach is that itself, but you know that like when you are working at the client location, they are like having a widespread mouth, and they
Mm,
want everything to be get discovered, but they don't want to share anything. That is the main challenge.
I definitely agreed. Right, right. I understand that concern. Right. So yeah, that's all. Iklavya, you have also some question.
No, I'm done. I'm done.
Okay,
Thank you.
sorry.
Yeah,
Ritan,
yeah,
some.
I am.
Mhm.
So my question is like for service graph connector in cloud discovery, they also use the uh, same credentials in the from the credentials fields, right?
Service graph
Or
for cloud discovery.
yeah,
Yes, yes, they are also going to use the same credentials basically, right? So, but what we have service graph connectors, we have the limited visibility on that cloud resources attribute. We are not able to discover the complete cloud resources or complete relationships basically, right? So my preference is always going with the cloud discovery to get the data instead of service graph connector.
okay. So what is the benefit of using service graph connector?
Hmm?
Like
Um,
what is the benefit?
what is the benefit using service graph connectors, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So as I mentioned, the benefit is only you have everything is configured. You no need to do anything. Just provided the credentials and provided that source for Azure, you are able to discover everything in a single go, right? There is nothing much you have to do. But here in normal cloud discovery, you have to be configure credentials, then configure discovery schedules, then you have to be validate the data from there, and then you have to be check each and everything, right? So service graph connector is easy to use, configuration is simple, and you are able to do or with limited data, but not in the discovery side. In discovery side, you have to be configured, you have to be modified sometimes pattern, or doing creating custom patterns as well to get the data and populating the CMDB. So that is not straightforward, but in the CMDB or the cloud discovery side, is the easy thing is you are able to get more attribute, more relationships basically.
Okay. Actually, now we are our in our team we actually currently doing a POC to do a service graph connector for Azure and AWS. So that's why I'm asking. So that's doing for also actually for
Right.
the
So
cloud discovery
just do
only.
one thing again. Do one thing. Just go to ServiceNow again. Documentation of the ServiceNow. Just check for ServiceNow graph connectors. Capabilities and what attribute they are fetching for AWS and Azure, and the same way search for cloud discovery, Azure and AWS attribute fetching and all other things, right? Just compare the both values, right? What you're getting from the AWS or Azure or from in service graph connector and what you are getting from AWS and Azure for cloud discovery. You are able to get it. Lots of things will be missing there through the service graph connector.
Okay. Okay.
That could be a good comparison, and based on that, you can see if the POC is successful or not.
Mm.
Okay.
Thank you, Ajay.
Yeah, no issues. I think let's move to the next things now. Also, quickly, I have to cover. Oh my God, this is failed. Okay, I will take it later. Yeah, no issues. So Yesterday I was on discovery schedules. Let me close this one. Let me complete the discovery schedule first. Okay, so yeah, let me create a new schedule. Yeah, so here as I already covered couple of things, but yeah, let me do one thing. I'm just putting that discovery schedule of now learning. Okay, and configuration item I'm going to be discover. I'm going to use the specific mid server. I'm going to be select the mid server is ITOM training location. Again, as I mentioned yesterday as well, location is something important which is required to be populate the locations through here to the all CMDB CIs, right? So whenever you are getting a huge requirement to create a discovery schedule, make sure you are going to be split out or divide based on the locations, so it will easy to handle the all discovery schedules and location will be populated automatically for that one. So for now I'm just putting United States, but let me give an example here. If you have thousands of IPs or thousands of IP subnets which you want to be discovered, make sure you are following the correct practice to populate the correct location, as well as follow the correct naming standards. So anyone looking to that particular subnet or discovery schedule, he's able to understand that this IP subnet belongs to this schedule and this is the location of it, right? So that's much required. Again, max runtime you can configure here. Sorry. So max runtime you can configure here if you want to be closed, or if you want to be stopped your or cancel your discovery schedule anytime, you can put max runtime. So while when this works, basically if you have going to be configured or running discovery on mode like /16 or /15, /16, basically 65,536 IPs are there, right? And definitely it will take time, 1 or day 2, right? If you're running a discovery schedule for 65,000 IPs in a single go, right? So if you want to be run like my discovery schedule will be running not more than 10 hours or not more than max 1 day, right? You can configure that one. If that is going to be extend, automatically your discovery status or cancelled through the discovery schedules, right? Run whatever on when you are going to be configured it, just like a schedule job. When you are going to be run that particular discovery schedule, you can configure it here, right? Time again, if I want to be daily, what time I just want to be run on daily, weekly or monthly, when I just want to be run on which date of a month date, and what are the timing for that, right? So it's just a configuration thing. The best the next thing which is most required, that Sesam batch size. Right. Anyone have any idea what is the Sesam batch size and why that is the 1000? Any idea?
Yeah, Sesam website will decide how many probe will send to the of the to discover.
How many triggered for which what?
Actually, you're forgetting a bit, right? Uh,
So, come again.
yeah, I'm actually forgetting on it as now.
Okay. So let me give an example here, and that particular questions most of the time asked by the interviewer, as well as that will comes in the ServiceNow discovery exam as well if you are going with for that, right? So what will happen? You can see, right? If you have a /20 IP which you want to be discovered, and the /20 IP, the the range will be started like /24 will be 256, /23 512, /22 1024, /21 10248, and /20 IP is 4096, right? But Shazam batch size is 1000 here, and total IPs you want to discover is 4096, right? So what Sesam batch sizes do? Sesam will split or break that particular 4096 IPs in the 5 batches basically, right? So 5 Sesam will be triggered. Sesam props will be triggered here. 1000, 1000, 1000, 1000, 1000, and last for 96 IPs, right? So that is for that only. Like if you have huge or big IP range, that will be breaked automatically using the Sesam batch size, and that 5 Sesam or multiple Sesam props will be triggered to get check or validate that connectivity of those particular IPs, right? If it is the question comes in the discovery exams couple of times in two ways, right? So what is Sesam batch size? By default Sesam batch size, right, it's 1000. Second thing, if they will give you like example 10.0.0.1 1 dot slash 19, right? So you just need to understand in slash 19 how many IPs are there, and based on that how many times Sesam batch will be triggered if by default Sesam batch size is 1000 or 2000 or 3000, right? So you just need to check like slash 19 4096 multiplied by 2 4096 multiplied by 2 8192. So 8192 means 9 times Sesam batch size will be triggered if size is 1000. If it is more than 1000, then it's depend on if 2000, that will be triggered for 5 times basically, then so on, right? So you just need to be calculate, you need to understand the calculation of this particular thing as well. Just try to make sure or try to get that particular one. Start with slash 24. In slash 24 256 IPs are there, slash 20 sorry 23 512 IPs, and so on, right? So it's going to be double by double, right? If someone asks me what is the IP count for slash 18, I simply go and put 8192 multiply by 2 8192. So that are the IPs in slash 18, right? The same way it's going to be double by double, right? So that is one thing. Second thing, someone yesterday shared with me one formula as well. Let me share with you guys, one moment. Let me get that formula.
Ajay, meanwhile, just a quick question. You said default is 1000 batch size. If we are increasing it by 2000 or 3000, is there any pros and cons?
The pros and cons is nothing, but the thing is only we should not do that, right? Why we should not do that? Because you are unnecessary increasing the load on the Sesam batch prop as well as your mid server, right? So end of the day, when you are triggering the discovery, that Sesam batch, when Sesam prop is will triggered, it's going through the mid server and it's checking the IP, right? So if you are increasing the count for 1000 to 4000 example, right? So it will need to take care of 4000 IP in one prop, right? Also, if you are increasing that time, it will take more time to get the results, and it will sometimes it's going to be stuck as well, and it increase that stress on the mid server, right? So we should avoid that. We just simply
But
go with,
but
right?
Ajay, that would be in a scenario where your mid server configuration is on the minimum side of it. Say example, if your mid server configuration is on a higher side, wherein instead of 16 GB, you would be having 64 GB, because this is what the scenario we have seen in our network. Customer said that I mean, why you are just doing only 1000, why not 2000 or 2500 or 4000? When we give this when we give this explanation, they said that you should be going for the higher configuration of the mid server so that there would not be any extra load.
Agreed, but why customer is worried about that, how my discovery is running, right? And
Some
why
customers
customer
are
is,
picky. Some customers are picky, especially banks.
agreed, but agreed, definitely agreed. But now let me give you an example here. If you are putting 10,000 IP in Sesam batch size and you have to be discover 65 again 65,000 IPs or slash 16 subnet, again it's going to be triggered 6 times, right?
Yeah.
Getting my point? Six or
Yeah.
seven times basically, right? But now see, if you put it or trigger 10,000 IP in one Sesame batch size, are you able to look into if you want to see the logs? Are you able to go through the all 10,000 IPs? No, right?
Practically,
Why?
no.
Because if I ask you as a customer, Eklavya, I have given you one subnet. Can you help me out? Like how many IPs you are able to get? Which ports open? Are you able to do that? If you have 65,000 IPs and in single go you are running for 10,000.
No, it's
No,
not
it's
possible.
not. That's why if it's 1,000, it's easy to create a report. It's easy to grab the data and put it, somewhere to showcase. We run 8 times. That is a eight says, 8 or 10 or whatever, right? It just, we split it, we break it. If we are doing for long data, if we are going for big, the Sesame batch size, if you are mid-server configuration good, you are okay to do that, right? But just it's a technical thing, right?
Hmm.
Don't want to involve in these particular things. Simply mention, sir, I'm going to be follow the best practices here, and it's my job to be handle the data. If you ask me, how can I share the report of the 10,000 IPs in a single go? It's have to manage that logs as well,
Hmm.
right? And again, if you are putting the same 10,000, then it's going to be next for the classification and all, right? So
Yeah.
it's very hectic. End of the day, you have to be present to the customer, the report, how many IPs you have discovered, how many IPs is not discovered, what is the issue, it is credential, it is port, it is XYZ, right? If you're not able to create the report, you are not able to do that, those particular things, right? So it's not a big, it's an issue. The
Yeah.
same way, but I also prefer if some customer comes to me as a that is /16, you have to be run discovery in one discovery schedule. I completely denied. No, what I do, I will going to be split out the /16 into 3 chunks, okay, or into 3 subnets, and then creating a different discovery schedules because I cannot handle 65,000 IPs in a discovery schedule if you ask me to create a report on it. No, it will
Hmm.
take a lot of time. Instead of if I break it in 3 or 4 subnets and putting in the same discovery subnet or different sorry, same discovery schedule or different discovery schedule, it's easy to handle for me. Like, this is for this and I can create a report, and it's, if small data is there, I can easily handle it, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I always prefer to small chunk in divide or break in the small chunks and going with that out of the box configuration. Simple.
Yeah. Clear. Clear. Thank you.
Right. Thank you. Yeah. And last thing only just want to mention here, we should, as much as possible, we should go with the out of the box configurations till that time it's not necessary to customize it. Why? We are working in a customer environment, we are just for implementation, right? Once we implemented, we hand over to the operations team, and any upgrade or any some issues comes up and you did customization, definitely you're going to be share that customization detail with that particular thing, but they are not able to handle those particular things because operational teams, which I feel not that much experience, that much we are as an implementation partner or as an implementation consultant, right? So they are going to be stuck, and and it will create lots of issues for their operational activities as well as while they are going to be planned for any upgrade. So I will most of the time prefer as much as possible customization till the time it's not necessary, it's not highly recommended or highly put it by the customer, we have to do. And then if we have by asked by customer you have to do, I simply put a disclaimer, I'm able to do that, I'm not responsible for your activities while you're doing for upgrade, you have to be take care, you have to be remember this is a customized thing. If in next feature or next release this is not available, you have to be take care about that. Simple, right? So we have to go with that. I just put it something on the chat as well. So there is a formula as well to collect collect that how many IPs in one subnet, right? To calculate total usable IPs 2 to the power of 32 and n 32 minus n. -2, right? So you can use this particular power. And basically, if you remember, we have three class of the IPs: class A, class B, class C. I just also put it the class A, B, C IPs ranges as well, which is going to use most of the time in the private networks, basically, right? So you can use this particular formula. You can use IP subnet calculator if you want to calculate how many IPs comes in one particular subnet. Okay. Now, the next is use SNMP version in discovery schedule. I hope my screen is visible, right?
No, it's
No?
not.
Oh, okay. Let me share once again. Let me know once it's visible to you. Okay.
Yeah, it is.
Right. So we have use SNMP version. So use SNMP version basically help you to define if you have only V3 machines or V3 SNMP devices. You can select V3. If you have V1 or V2C, you can use V1 and V2C. But is the why it's we using that SNMP version? If you are little bit particular for V3, it will not trigger the props for V1 or V2C, right? If you have V1 or V2C SNMP devices, it will not trigger for V3. So it just save the time while you're running discovery schedule. Otherwise, there's no use of it, right? And it will, escape or forget about the other type of device, SNMP devices, basically, right? So I have just created this one. Now let me submit this. Once I submit, I have this is submitted. But how there are three ways to populate my IP ranges or IP subnets or the comma separated IPs to be discovered to add for discovery, right? So everything is same, only we have able to that quick ranges discover now or run point scan, right? So quick ranges basically we have to, it's already put given an example here as well. You can use IP4 or IP6 as well in the both way, but IP6 is not supported as of now, which I know. So in IP4 you have to put that IPs comma separated, right? If you are putting the subnet, if you are putting IP range, or if you are putting that normal individual IPs of the device, right? So let's do one thing. I'm just going to be put, let me see what is my IP. That is 198. Okay, but what I'm trying to do here, I'm just going this particular IP 12.1/24. Okay, and then comma separate, and there is no space between the next IP, only just comma for separation. Then I'm going to put 198.51.12.119. Oh, okay, it's, let me put this way, 70 to 198 dot 51 dot 12 dot 120. Okay, and I'm going to use the individual IPs as well. So in single IP subnet or in single quick ranges, you are able to put this, and this is the different IP. Let me put this, and then we have one more IP. I'm just putting this as well, right? So in here itself you can put subnet, you can put that IP ranges, and you can put the individual IPs with comma separated, and make sure comma you have put it correctly and there is no space between your comma and the next IP range. Also, and the last IP not required to be put the comma in the end of the IP ranges, right? Simple. So it's just a simple way, and it's also mentioned here, and you have to be click the make ranges.
Ajay, we can't hear you.
Oh, I was speaking on mute. Oh shit. Guys, you're not attentive. I
No,
think I'm
actually, no, we are confused actually. I also thought that. Like,
oh, I thought I'm speaking and I'm speaking from last 10 minutes after hearing
We are thinking that you are
sorry, no issues.
forgetting
But
something.
I'm trying to no issues. So what I try to mention here on the IP ranges, basically in the quick ranges, you have to be put that subnets and IP range or the individual IPs, but that should be separated by comma, and based on that you are creating that, right? And once you are putting the commas once you are putting the comma separation, make sure that there is no difference between the two IP ranges. There is no space in the two IP ranges or two IPs apart from the comma only, right? And end of the IP, you should not put any comma while your IP is going to be end, right? And once you create that one, just click on the make ranges. Automatically, the service now will create three things. If it belongs to network or subnet, it will create a IP network. If it is address individual IPs, it will go to the IP address list and then IP ranges, right? And what I try to mention here, global IP exclusion. If you want to put any IP exclusion globally on this particular discovery schedules, you can add that particular IP here in creating new, and that will be excluded from discovery schedules. You can just search for that IP from IP address table, IP address location. You just create here and just put the descriptions why you want to be exclude that particular one, right? So you can do as well from the discovery schedule. Now let's do one thing. Let's start, or because this is just a daily, I've not put it any timing here on, so let me put on demand. On demand basically is when you want to run this particular on demand, basically on your choice, you can run that particular discovery schedule. So I just put it on demand. Now let's run the discovery. So quick ranges discover now. I just put it discover now right away, right? So and the discovery is started. Now till the time discovery is going on, let me showcase you one more thing, the Windows thing, right? Anyone knows about that discovery IP affinity or credentials affinities?
yeah, credential affinity as and that it
Sorry.
will.
Mm-hmm.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible now.
So, like, once the discovery happened to a particular device through a particular
Mm-hmm.
credentials, next time when the discovery will run, like, so will run, then it will automatically take that particular, like credentials to validate that device.
Right, exactly. So, as you Rita mentioned, the same thing is like, yesterday, if you remember, we ran a discovery on this IP, right? And automatically, one credentials affinity or discovery IP affinity is created here, which means if I run discovery on this particular IP address again, it will not go to check all other Windows credentials. It will check only this particular credential. And let me go one moment. Here I am. Okay. Let me open that discovery credentials table.
It's a kind of a memory which system creates by its own once the discovery run. So it refer
Exactly.
again.
Exactly. Yes, discovery underscore credential. Okay, yeah. So here, if you see, I have two Windows credentials, two Azure credential or assets, right? But if you see that which service, which you account is used yesterday discovery, that range or that order is last to last, right? Here, if you see, this is the only which one you use here for that machine. Why it's not used this one, the 100 one? Because that credentials which is here, it's not applicable for that device which we yesterday run the discovery on this 772.29. This is my mid server IP. So what is out of the box automatically Windows mid server account is there, which we have checked it, and based on the service account which we have created, it's discovered that particular device, right? And it's create a memory here to see, so it will not waste of the time. If sometimes you will feel you will see it like which credential is used for the discovery, you can come here and for those particular credentials you can check it. Now the second thing to find out that particular one, let me go to, meanwhile my discovery status is running, let me go to that. Oh, sorry, that's status. Okay, under discovery we have status. I think this one yesterday we have run, right? Yeah, see, so that is the yesterday we have discovered, right? So if I go to the ECC queue and you see, I already mentioned about the SESAM classification, pattern launch means identification, and this is exploration phase, right? Now let's open the SESAM phase just to, and always if you want to see the result, just go with the input queue and state should be processed, right? Output means that something commands of triggered from ServiceNow to the target machine to collect, and the input means the result we have received, right? So make sure you are looking for that, and that also one question comes in the exam as well. What is the what are the two types of queue available, output or input, right? What are the different states available, right? So is different state is processed, ready, error, and processing, right? So these are the basically, and what information is available in the under the topic, right? So under the topic you are able to see that props informations, right? So it says WMI runner, horizontal discovery, or multi-prop. What are the props is going to be triggered, that you are able to see under the topics, right? Or that also one time question comes like, what are the fields available under the ECCQ? Topics, names, source. They just give you a couple of examples or a couple of options, and you have to be select from there, right? So make sure you are able to go with that agent, topics, name, source, queue, state, and process, right? So these are the basic things will comes in the discovery exam as well. Now let me open the input queue of Sesam prop. Meanwhile my discovery schedule is running for this discovery which we have just triggered, right? So it will take some time, then why let's utilize this time to be here. So I have opened the input one, processed. You can see as I mentioned, if you remember that Sesam have a priority or a path to be triggered or checked validations for things, right? So always that also comes in exam as well. Always if you are going to be run discovery on any discovery schedule or any IP, it's going to be checked WMI on the first step. The second step, it's going to check SNMP port. Third is SSH, then HTTP, WINS, DNS, and this so on. The port is going to be checked, right? So this is hierarchy or that priority to check the ports on a machine, and based on that, that's going to the next step. If on the first place he found port 135 open on that machine, it will stop there immediately. It's not going to be checked the other ports, right? And sorry, it will check for other ports as well, but the thing is only like if in the next in the classification phase, if the credential passed for Windows, it will not check for any other credentials basically, right? So it will go in this particular priority. But and sometimes that possible, you have a Linux machine. I'm just giving, or I see that couple of times this issue. You have a Linux machine which you want to be discovered, port 135 or 22 open, both ports are open, and somehow credentials validated for Windows and is discovered as a Windows machine, right? Not a Linux machine. But end of the day, that is a Linux machine, but it's discovered as a Windows machine with the limited attributes. So in that case, we have also available, things here, class downgrade or class upgrade. I think we'll discuss a little bit more on tomorrow, but you can have the capability to upgrade the class or downgrade the class in ServiceNow if that is discovered incorrectly in incorrect class, right? Or you can put a, or you can ask to firewall team to remove the port 135 to be open, or just check validate with again the network or customer team to understand why the Windows credential is validated on the Linux machine. Might be some issue with their side as well, so just check those particular things, right? So now let's me open this Sesam Pro. I hope my screen is visible, you are able to read it, right guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yes,
the first thing is active and alive. So active and alive means the machine is active. We are able to connect this one. Oh, my bad. Let me open one second. Machine is active and we are able to connect with the connection. So it's active and alive means this. If active and alive means active is 0, alive is 1, or alive active is 1, alive is 0, means that the first and simple thing is that is the firewall connectivity issue. There is some issue on that machine with the firewall connectivity. Means might that can be possible machine is not active but it alive. Right, it can be possible it's alive, it's active but not alive, right? So that is firewall policy issue. In that thing you have to check the two things. Sorry, one is the firewall policy and second is just try to ping that machine from the main server to check is that machine is already running, is connected to the network or not, right? Just check these two things, and if it is both are not working, just simply go to the team and mention you have to be check the firewall policies on those particular machine. Second, if you see here, then active alive, if it is 1 1, then it's true and true, right? That is the IP address which we have triggered. Prop time is this. Why it's when I'm clicking on this one, it just disappeared, right? So see here, if you see SSH port 22 is refused for SSH service. Then we have generic TCP port 135, WMI port prop, protocol is TCP, it's open. Result is open. Service is EP map service. Then we have port 902 ESXi, this is also refused. Port 5986, it's open. 5480 is refused. So this particular logs give you that information, which port is open on that machine and which port is refused by the network. And if it is Windows machine, we are just only required port 135 and we can validate port 135 here, right? Apart from other ports, which is decom ports, if you remember I mentioned about decom ports and other ports that you couple of times you are able to see here and couple of times you are not able to see here, right? So it's not mandatory, but if you are going to be stuck with the troubleshoot or discovery of Windows devices, then you have to be connect with the network team and check that we know which ports is open or not on that machine, right? Apart from otherwise no. So here if you see that you are able to see the complete information about the ports, whatever the ports is opened or connected to that machine or not, right? Any questions in that one? Because this is the one of the thing which is going to be used most of the time on the first place while you are going to be check the connectivity. I hope you guys following me.
Yeah, I'm good at it.
yes, yes.
Okay, so this is the thing, and I think again we are out on time now. So tomorrow again we are going to with that particular thing as well as the discovery schedule which I just run. Let me see, it's completed, and let me showcase you one thing as well. It's completed, and how many devices we are able to discover. Let's see. Oh, we are able to discover the four two devices, three devices basically. One is already discovered yesterday, that 172.29, but we are able to discover 119 as well, and the 74. Don't be confused. It's, you know, two times showcasing here. It's just a configuration thing. It's showing created and updated for one IP, right? So don't be confused. It's five devices. It's only three devices here. Why it's not 429 it's created? Because already the CI is created yesterday. So this time this is updated only, right? But the in different way, that is 119 is created and updated today only. So that's why two activities showcasing here. So don't be confused these particular activities basically. And there is no issues as well, right? So if you see there is issues zero complete bilkul. So there is no issues with on it, right? So we'll discuss tomorrow on those particular things. You know, if you want to see the, if you have multiple IPs, just quickly let me showcase you one more thing, right? Let me open. And this is, you know, little bit belongs to Eklavya's question. Now Eklavya, if you see here on where it is, yeah, this one. If you see, you have only one IP, right, on which you have triggered and you are able to see the results for one IP, right? Now in this particular discovery schedule, we have triggered for lots of IPs, right? So if I just little bit this one, you can see 74, 29,
Yeah.
119, right? If I little bit go down, basically these are the three IPs which have the connection from that machine. Other IPs don't have the connectivity from that mid servers. That's why we are not able to see anything. But and now let me showcase you the example of this one. Hmm. Hmm. And because I just, you know, randomly put that IP ranges or the IP subnets, that's why it's not visible here, because that is no connectivity. And if it is nothing comes in the discovery logs or anywhere, it just simple and thing, it's a not reachable host. It's not connected through that particular mid server. Simple, right? So if we have multiple IPs in a particular discovery schedule, it's little hectic. And if you see here, if now, as I, you know, I mentioned to you, if you have 10,000 IPs in this particular one, are you able to go through the all 10,000 IPs?
No, no, no. I mean, the payload would be like, huge. I don't know whether payload will open or not.
Right, that's why we have to go with that. So if here, if 74, I can see, you know, in the 74, the port, it's SSH port 22 is open, right? That's working. In next, so 172.29 IP, I can see the port 135. Where is 135? Port 22 is refused. TCP 5480 is refused. That is refused. Port 53 is resolved. 5980 is open. The same way, port 135 is open here, right? And in 119 again, the port 135 is open here. Where? Uh, 119. Oh, yeah, port 135 is open here, right? It's a Windows machine, it's a port 135 open. But don't be confused if other ports are open. We just need to be focused on the main port for device discovery, right? That should be open. For Linux, port 22, Windows port 135, storage 5980, 5989, 5988, or 427, Linux or SNMP port 161. That these are the main ports which we have to be remembered, that should be open. If any other different port are open, like you can see the port TCP, HTTP port 80 is open, DNS port is open, that's, you know, that's good for us, but it's not required that much, right? Port 7 is open, right? If something is refused, we are okay with that as well, right? But the main port which we require, that should be open basically. Okay, and we can ignore the other ports, right?
Yeah.
So this is all about for today. Any other questions from anyone, guys?
Yeah, just a quick question. Like in the global IP excluding, you have showed that related list. And so it is basically the IPs we don't want to discover, target, right?
Yes. So this is the global IP exclusion, means which IPs you don't want to be discovered, you want to be excluded from here. So as I already mentioned, you just need to go here, this IP excluded, and here you have to be create a new IP range, IP subnet. If I just want IP address list, I can go and configure this one. This is my IP. This is the domain. Let me put just example 10.0.0.1. This is IP address list. Let me submit this. Yeah, so this IP will be excluded from discovery. If I just want to put IP range, IP subnet, that I can also going to be configured that one. So it's globally, basically it's global, it's excluded from all discovery schedules automatically. That is the way to do that. That is also one thing. And if you remember, I also mentioned, right, mid server one. End of the day, that's are doing in the same things. Basically, if I go to mid servers, if I open this, you have also the capability include and exclude. If I go to new,
Oh,
you can also do it from here as well, include or exclude, right? So there are two ways to do that, from mid server itself and from the discovery schedule itself.
got it. Got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, guys? Okay. So one thing only, guys, again, we are on that 6th day of 16 and still we have to go so far. If you have any feedback, if you have any concerns, if you ever want to be put any suggestions to me, feel free to reach out to me and share your feedback, suggestions, whatever the things you have it. I will try to accommodate those particular things in the training. Also, if you don't have any feedback, suggestions, if you like the content, if you are looking or thinking that what I'm going to train you or what I'm going to be pass my informations, it's good for you, please help to provide your feedback on those side as well, right? So it will helpful for others and it will helpful for me to encourage me more to do those particular things, right? So that's all from my side for today.
Yeah, sure, Ajay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you guys, have a good day. Bye bye.
Thanks.
Gotcha.